We're continuing the shir about the secret of time. This is mainly going to we're mainly going to focus on Rabbi Nachman's Torah Samech Aleph, where he discusses the concept of time and different aspects about it, how it works, and some other interesting sources. Okay, Torah Samech Aleph in Likutei Moharan Tinyana. It's a short Torah, so hopefully we're going to finish the whole thing. Hashem Yisbarach Hu L'mala Me'azman. Hashem is above time, kamuva, as it's brought in all sorts of svarim. V'zeh inyan hu be'emes hu davar niflo v'nela me'od. This is a very wondrous, it's amazing thing that Hashem is above time. Our minds can't really understand it. It's something that's beyond our comprehensions because it's outside of our existence. Our existence now is within time. Everything that the way we think and the way our minds work is all within the boundaries of time. We cannot understand this with human logic, with human minds, being that our minds, our neshamas, are inside our bodies, and our neshamas only perceive things, for the most part, regular people can only understand things which are time-bound, which are within our framework of living. Our framework of living is just within the boundaries of time. So to understand that Hashem is above time, that's something that we can't completely... We can understand that He is above time, but it's something that we can't understand what it means above time. So since we can't understand what it means to be above time, we can't really understand how Hashem is above time. That's what he means. So again, here he's coming to say that we can't understand. If for sure we could understand, we could believe and know that Hashem is above time. But we can't completely understand the concept of being above time because we just know what it isn't. It's not time. We don't know what it is because we can't really understand such a thing. It's not something that our minds can wrap around. Achda. Now, the Rebbe here is describing the main point of time. The main idea of time, you should know that the main idea of time is just because we have small minds, because we don't understand. And this is again connected with what we said before, the Seichel Hanoshi, the human mind cannot understand. We cannot understand above time, meaning we are completely bound with time. So, the main idea of time is only because we don't understand. He's going to explain what this means later on. Meaning, since our mind is very small, the larger a person's mind gets, the more time becomes insignificant. So he's saying basically the whole reason why we experience time is only because of our constricted intelligence. Our neshama has tremendous intelligence, and really our neshama can experience and can understand above time. But our neshama is now inside of our bodies, and inside of our bodies, we have a much smaller intelligence than our actual neshama. Our actual neshama doesn't forget. It doesn't use our brain's memory to remember things. It doesn't need our brain's memory. When a person dies, he has memory, but not of the physical brain. He has memory of his neshama, and his neshama is a much more spiritual, much more pure, much more real type of memory, much more powerful. So our minds, now we only experience a very slight glimmer of intelligence with our neshamas being inside of our body. We do experience a little bit, some more than others, but we don't experience much compared to the actual neshama. So the more the minds become more intelligent, either within the body or, like we said, a neshama outside of the body, we can actually experience time in a totally different way. Time actually will become less significant, as we're going to see. Now he's going to give an example of something that we can see. Sometimes we go into a small level of intelligence. We go into a very constricted level of intelligence where we're even less intelligent than we are during our awake day, if you could imagine such a thing. And when we are so unintelligent, then time actually seems to go much slower. There seems to be more. Time has more significance, in a sense. We're going to see. Ki b'cholam she'az ha'seichel nistalek. For when a person is dreaming and his mind leaves him, ein lo rak koach madam, and he only has his power of imagination, which is a very small part of his mind. In our mind, with the power to imagine. It's not in our fingers. So it's a type of intelligence, but it's not even called intelligence. It doesn't understand 1 + 1 = 2. That's called intelligence. This is like a philosophical thing, or what exactly a mind is. A mind has many different faculties, different aspects to it. It has memory, it has creative abilities, it has analytic abilities. These are all intelligence. Mind also has something which is called imagination, which might not always qualify for intelligence. People that just have imagination, they're not intelligent, they just have imagination. It's not considered intelligence in all senses of the word, but still it's a type. It is in our brain. It's a type of intelligence, a very, very low type, lower than the other aspects of intelligence. Now, when a person is dreaming, and his mind, his analytic mind, and his creative mind, and his general awareness has left him, and all he's left with is his imaginative faculties, and that's what he's experiencing when he's dreaming. That's what a dream is. So, in a quarter of an hour, a person can feel like 70 years passed. When a person has a lower level of intelligence, which is here in this, the Rebbe is giving an example, a person has only the imaginative faculties of his mind, he actually can feel like a tremendous amount of time passed, even in a very short period of time. Even a short period of time, 15 minutes, it could feel to him like 70 years passed. So again, time seems to be stretched out. It seems to be very long and taking a long time. A lot of times, and to add some more examples, like things that we could understand or we could relate to. This is a very important example. The Rebbe uses this in other places. Reb Nosson, explains this in Likutei Halachos. He elaborates on this aspect of sleeping and saying that, sleeping is a very good understanding of time. There are any time when a person's mind is constricted and his intelligence leaves him, so it could feel like a long time passes. A child in general, like I remember when I was a child, like a year is like such a long time. It felt like forever to go when I went from 5th grade to 6th grade, or from 4th to 5th. Like it felt like it was never going to happen. Like summer vacation, which was never going to come, was a month away, 30 days. That's so long. Now for me, it feels like 30 days go by so quickly. Really, because our minds, when they're so much more undeveloped, they're so much smaller. For the reasons the Rebbe says, in a simple way that we can understand, you don't get the whole picture. You don't see what's going on. It feels like a very, very long time passes. Everyone knows time flies when you're having fun, and time does not fly when you're not having fun. And time seems to take a long time. When a person's in this constricted mode of thinking or feeling, it constricts his mind when he's not having fun, he's not happy, and it feels like time takes a long, long time. And that's really all because a person's mind leaves him to a certain extent. He's less intelligent, and of this awareness, this deep type of intelligence, which really brings a person to be able to experience time in a different way. And the Rebbe is going to explain. We're going to elaborate as we go on. So these are just 2 examples, or 3 examples of different times that we experience that time actually seems to go very slowly, and time has so much more significance when a person's doing something he really doesn't enjoy, and he's really stressed out, it's really annoying, he's in suffering, certain types of issues. He could have constricted type of consciousness, a constricted type of intelligence of mind, and then he feels like things are really taking a long time when a person's having fun. So his mind seems to be a little bit more active, a little bit more advanced, or developed a higher level of intelligence in a certain way, and therefore time goes faster. And when a person sleeps, this is the example, going back to the example the Rebbe is giving, when a person sleeps in particular, he could literally feel like 70 years passed, and he could feel it when he sleeps. A lot of times people sleep, you put your head down for 5 minutes and it felt like you slept for an hour. You don't know how long you've been sleeping. So this is a constricted consciousness which actually brings about the lengthening of time. We're going to see the opposite is also true, as the Rebbe said before. When you have expanded consciousness, a high level of intelligence, then time becomes much, much shorter until it'll disappear. As it seems in a person's dream, it seems like many, many different times are passing in a very, very short time period, meaning 70 years pass, and a person experiences all sorts of things that he experiences and feels when he's only sleeping for 15 minutes. And afterwards, when he wakes up from his sleep, he sees that all of the times that passed in his dream, and it felt like so long. He went here and he did this and he went that and he went that, and it was only 15 minutes. So he sees that it was a very, very short period of time, even though it felt like a very long period of time. And the reason for this is that she'achar kach be'akit as chozer haseichel love. The reason is that when he wakes up, his intelligence returns to him. Ve'etzal haseichel kol elu hashivim shana she'over b'cholam hem rak reva shah etzlo. And according to his intelligence, his new intelligence, or his regular intelligence, all 70 years that he experienced while he was sleeping, which felt like a very long time, which passed over him in his dream, was only 15 minutes. Rak shivim shana mamish, and shivim shana gam etzal hashana shelo. But still, according to a person who's awake, according to me and you, we're awake and we're thinking about Torah right now. So for us, 70 years is still 70 years. It's a long time, it would seem to us. But when we dream, 15 or sleeping 15 minutes is not such a long time. It's something that seems to go by very quickly. Stam, I was at the kosel with my son, and I remember how he was waiting for. This kind of reminds me of this idea. He was waiting for the end of davening. I told him it's going to be like 15 minutes, and like after 3 minutes, like, okay, is 15 minutes up now? Like he was just waiting every minute. For him, 15 minutes felt like a very long time. Aside from the fact that he doesn't have quite understanding of time and how everything, he's only about 6 years old, so it's not the same. But still, a child often feels like time drags out a long time. And for me to sit for 15 minutes just waiting for something, if I had nothing to do, I'd never say for to learn, or I wasn't able to learn for whatever reason. It's not wouldn't drive me crazy. So it's maybe it's just our mentalities, but it's an idea. ובאמס השכל הגבוה למעלה משכלנו, גם מה שנחשב אצלנו ל70 שנה ממש, הוא גם כן רק רבע שעה או פחות. Now, be'emes, there's higher levels of intelligence above our level of intelligence, our regular human intelligence, or regular, intelligence that normal people experience. So, for that level above us, for let's say one level above us, what we experience as 70 years for them, or for the one who has such high intelligence, only seems like about 15 minutes. So, as a person kind of sees the whole world, again, this is my own understanding. Little 2 cents. As a person sees the whole world and the whole scheme of things, how 6,000 years, the whole world is around for almost 6,000 years, and how like we're almost at the end. So like we only have a drop left to go. So my whole life, 70 years, might not be so much. Tzaddik who really looks at it in that way and really sees it and really perceives it in that way can really feel the 70 years is a very short period of time. And really, if you look at the big picture, and if you really have that broad and great intelligence, you could see that that's really the truth. That the world, a person's 70 years is a very short period of time. So according to a higher level of intelligence, it would only seem like a quarter of an hour or maybe even less. Just like we see, the 70 years can pass in a dream. And afterwards, when we wake up, we realize that it was only 15 minutes. That's exactly how it happens. It's exactly the same difference, same idea. That's how our 70 years are like, compared to the 70 years, to 15 minutes of higher intelligence. If we had higher intelligence, if we had a more broad perspective and a greater consciousness of everything, then we would be able to recognize that our 70 years is very, very small, only like 15 minutes. On a higher level, it would only be 15 minutes. But we just don't understand this. We can't really understand how 70 years, in the end of the day, you can clock 70 years. And 70 years feels like 70 full years. Whether you feel like it's going fast like an adult or like a child, pretty much it's the same. And after 70 years, everyone goes through it, whether you feel like it's going fast or not. But according to someone with a much higher intelligence, he actually perceives time differently. He actually experiences time very differently than what we do. Now we can't understand with our regular intelligence. We can't understand how 70 years is really 15 minutes. It doesn't make sense. In the end of the day, I still have to wait for 70 years, or I have to go through 70 years to finish what I need to finish in this world. And it doesn't feel so much like 15 minutes. I could think about it a little bit, it helps, but it still doesn't feel like 15 minutes. At least not to me. If you think that it does, then you could tell me, explain to me how to do this. But in any case, if someone were to tell me, Kigam b'cholom, if someone would come to me in the middle of a dream, when I was dreaming and feeling like I was going through a whole 70 years, and someone would say to me, all this that it seems like a person's passing over years and days and years, really it's nothing. If someone were to tell you in the middle of a dream, you know what, you feel like you're getting older and you feel like you're really about to die, or 70 years have passed, really it's nothing. You didn't even start time. You're going through 2 minutes of life here. You're just sleeping, or you're just it's not 70 years. It's really 15 minutes. You wouldn't believe him at all in the dream. Because according to your imagination inside this dream, it will appear to you and it seems to you like you really are passing over days and years. And the same exact thing is by us. Just like we experience that this we're going through is 70 years of our life, according to a higher intelligence, it's only a quarter of an hour. It's a very, very small amount of time that we're passing through. It feels like 70 years, but it really is, with a higher intelligence, those who are living on higher intelligence, they see this life of 70 years like nothing. And similarly, from level to level of intelligence, each level of intelligence looks at the people or the level of intelligence underneath them and it sees that their time, what seems to them as 70 years, is really only 15 minutes. Or something like that. A ratio could be something similar. I don't know if the Rebbe is giving exactly saying that 15 minutes is to 70. I'm not sure. That according to the intelligence which is higher, one level up, even the intelligence which is one level above us becomes nothing. Meaning, we have one level above us and we have 2 levels above us. So for the people who are on the intelligence of 2 levels above us, when they look down to the level of 1 level above us, so they look down and they see that all the time of 70 years of those who are 1 level above us is really only 15 minutes to them, on those people who are 2 levels above us. And that time, the time of that the people that are 1 level above us are experiencing, seems like a very short period of time to those who are 2 levels above us. And then similarly this goes above and above, level after level, until there's such a level that's so high, such a high level of intelligence, that there all time is like nothing. Time doesn't exist on such a high level. Because of the super high level of intelligence on such a high level, all of time is like nullified. Just like when we experience 70 years of dream, and when we dream and for 15 minutes and it feels like 70 years, really it's only 15 minutes. There are higher levels of intelligence, like dreaming is the lower than us, then there's us, and then there's 1 level above us and 2 levels above us. Each one goes higher and higher, and until we will, B'ez Hashem, get to a level where time will be completely nullified, at least the way we understand time, and completely be nullified and won't have any significance whatsoever, or no existence whatsoever. Again, these are things that we can't really understand, what it means to have time not exist. Time was created in order to allow us to do the avodah, in order to serve Hashem. If we didn't have time, then we wouldn't have Bechira. The whole reason why we have Bechira is because we exist in one moment. We only exist in one time. So Rav Nosson describes that if time doesn't exist, that means everything is all at once. It's like you see the whole picture all at once. You see the beginning, you see the end. It's right in front of you. So how could you have freedom of choice if the beginning and the end is all in front of you right now? So the only way that avoda and that freedom of choice can come about is through time. So time is the source of freedom of choice. And freedom of choice is the source of our avoda, our service in this world. So it's very important that we have time in this world in order to serve Hashem. But when we go to higher levels of intelligence, this time won't be important anymore. We don't have the same service of Hashem that we do nowadays. Nowadays we serve Hashem through Bechira, and when we go above those levels when we go above the Inyan of Bechira, we don't have the same Bechira anymore to do right or wrong, or we might have different types of Bechira, but the Bechira that we have won't exist anymore. So also our time, the way we understand it now, won't need to exist, because we won't need to be living in the moment the way we do now. We only live in the moment. The past is already gone, and the future didn't come yet, but the moment is such a fine point, you can't really put your finger on it. So that's why we need, that's what Rav Nosson explains, why we need to have time in order to serve Hashem. V'alkein, Mashiach she'over alav ma she'over miyom brias ha'olam v'sav ma she'sav. Now Mashiach, who all sorts of things, his neshama was created from, at least by the time of creation, his neshama was already created, and he passed over him all sorts of things that passed over him. He went through a lot. He was suffering for Klal Yisrael, all sorts of things. I don't know if you remember, I just learned this a few days ago, of Shubin Levi, I think. He said, he asked Eliyahu Navi, how can I know, where's Mashiach? And I think Eliyahu Navi told him it's in by the gates of, by Rome, the great city of Rome. So he went, he asked, how could I recognize who Mashiach is? Like, and Eliyahu Navi says he's a leper. And Shubin Levi said, like, there are a lot of lepers there. I think his body is full of wounds, full of all sorts of sores. And he said, how can I know which one he is? Because there could be a lot of people like that. And the Navi told him that all the other people with sores or with wounds or with or lepers, they take off their bandages all at once to switch the bandages, and they put all new bandages on. And what Mashiach does is he takes off one part of his bandage and puts on a new part, let's say on his hand, and then takes his other hand, takes the bandage off and puts a new bandage on that hand. And that's how he does his whole body, because he's hoping that they'll call for Mashiach to come right now, and he doesn't want to have to put all of his bandages on before he comes to the Jewish people. So he doesn't want us to have to wait. So Mashiach suffers a tremendous amount suffered a tremendous amount from the beginning of creation. And after all the suffering, Hashem will say to him like this: B'ni ata, you are my son. Ani hayom yiliditicha, I today gave birth to you. So this is a wondrous statement. How could Hashem say such a thing? How could Hashem say that he gave birth to him today, if he was created even before, by the time of creation of the world? This is all because of the tremendous high level of intelligence and consciousness and awareness that Mashiach will reach. Because of the high level of spirituality of ruchnius that Mashiach will attain at that time when he comes. And since he'll get tremendous intelligence through his new status, high level, therefore all the time that passed over him from the creation of the world until that time when he's revealed, kulo ayin ve'efes mamash, it's all as if it didn't exist, it's all as if it doesn't exist. Mamish kilu nolad hayom, and it'll be as if, for him, as if he was born on that day. Because time is, he sees everything like laid out in front of him, and time is like nothing. The beginning and the present and the past, maybe even the future, is all the same. So Hashem, it is appropriate, and Hashem can't say to him, I gave birth to you today, because today is like a very big day. But for him it wasn't such a big day, because now in his new level of intelligence, time became much less significant, and what seemed like 6,000 years, or close to 6,000 years, really was only one day. Because all time will be cancelled out in his great level of intelligence. Since Mashiach will be on such a high level of intelligence that time will be nothing to him. So then today would be the appropriate term for when Mashiach was created. Even though, according to our intelligence and our understanding right now, Mashiach was created about 6,000 years ago, if it was created by the time of creation, at least. Now we see another parallel to this. We spoke about time. Now we're going to speak about space. That in space there's something similar. Lavor makom gadol b'shamuetes, that a strong person can pass over a large space, a large distance, at a very short time. Nimtza she'etzlo kol hamakom mukatan. It comes out that for him, for a very strong person, space is as if it's very small. A large space doesn't mean so much. For a person who can walk quickly, his whole house is a very small place. But for maybe a really old person or a person who has difficulty walking and needs to walk with some kind of walker and can take only very small steps at a time, his house could feel like a very big place. To walk from where he's sitting to the bathroom could be a nice 5 minutes. It could feel like a long time. Or it is a long time. It really, space for him is much more significant. And for weaker people, like I said, the space will be a lot more significant. And they would have to walk a very long time to pass over this same place that a strong person could pass over very quickly. And similarly, higher and higher, the higher and the more powerful a person is, smaller spaces. Nowadays we have airplanes. The whole world became smaller when we got airplanes. We get faster airplanes and cheaper airplanes. It becomes like nothing traveling a little bit to America, a little bit to Israel. It's very easy to go from one place to the next. If we were and so on and so forth, if we were to have, let's say, teleportation, we could just jump from one place to the next. Space would almost be insignificant if we could at will go wherever we want. And now, if you could imagine such a thing, if you want to take it a level further, just to compare this to the way we said about time, if a person were able to be in two places at once, then he would, then space would be a lot less significant. If you could be here and somewhere else at the same time. We have this a little bit on the computer. You could talk, or you could have video, and you could see yourself. You could see yourself in three places at the same time, or other people could see you, and you could be like you're in three places at the same time. But if you could mamish be in three places, they have these quantum mechanic theories where they say that every particle has other particles that are parallel to it. They're the same exact particles in a number of different places. There's such theories right now. And if there really could be such a thing where I could be in two places at once, if I could see, maybe double vision or whatever it is, I could see two pictures at once. I could see where I am here and where I am somewhere else at the same time, and I could act either the same or different in both places. It doesn't make a difference. Then space would be a lot less significant because I could be here and in America at the same time. And now, if I could be in 1,000 places, or if I could be everywhere at the same time, if there could be such a thing, which it could be, then space would be totally insignificant. If I'm everywhere. What would it make a difference? Same thing with time. You could imagine if we could. Now we go through time forward. If you can go faster, or if you can go backwards in time, if you could walk through time, so time would be less significant. If I can go quickly 100 years forward and quickly 1,000 years backwards, and travel freely backwards and forwards, so then it would be less significant. If I could be in two times at the same time, or if I could be every time at the same time, then time would be totally insignificant. There would be no real significance to time because I'm everywhere at the same time. Again, these are things that we can't completely understand. These are just things that I thought of that kind of help. I like science fiction, so it kind of helps us relate to these ideas of being above time. And again, this is just for our imagination, not that this is really how it's going to be or how it is in the future. The Rebbe is speaking about high levels of spiritual intelligence where the neshama is just above everything in a different way, and it's not much like a powerful person who can go more freely, and time is much smaller for him. Again, we don't understand this so clearly, and I'm not so sure that these mashalim that I was just giving just to give us a little taste, to kind of have something that we could relate to understand these things, and I'm not sure that if it completely fits in with the real concept of being above time. I would imagine that it doesn't completely fit it, but it gives a taste. Our intelligence cannot really understand what it means that space is completely nullified. Just like we cannot understand in our dream, we can't understand the truth. That all the time that we experience, the 70 years that we experience in our dream, is really nothing. Also, we cannot understand that we can't understand that all the time that we experience right now is really nothing, and really time does not exist, but we can't understand it. So this is another stira. This is really the source are connected to this is the source of the stira, the contradiction of Bechir and Yadir, freedom. How can we have freedom of choice and Hashem knows everything at the same time? That in fact, time is completely nothing for Hashem. Hashem is above time, which is where we started off. And at the same time, we still have an experience of time, and we feel time, and we still have freedom of choice. So this question of freedom of choice, this stira, which is something that develops from this, or connected to this this concept of not being able to understand time and how it works. So the MS, as a Jew, practically speaking, what we have to take out from this is that even though we can't be holding on such, most of us, I guess, we can't be holding on such high levels where we really feel like our 70 years is 15 minutes. If we really experience that, if we really feel like our whole life is 15 minutes, so we could be Moser Nefesh for 15 minutes. Who can't be Moser Nefesh? Who can't do like the hardest things in the whole world for 15 minutes? We could do something, we fast, we just, finish Tisha B'Av, we fast Tisha B'Av. We could run a marathon maybe once in our lives. We could do something that's hard sometimes. So if we really felt that our life was only 15 minutes, I could push myself to the max for 15 minutes. That's really high level. If I could do that my whole life, that would be great. But me personally, I'm not holding on that level, and most of us probably aren't. What we really could relate to in this Torah, and this could really help us in on a much higher level, is really recognizing that and trying to realize that the MS time is isn't. The 70 years that we experience will end. And whether, it feels like it's going to be a long time, the fact is that it's for sure going to happen. Every person from the day that he's born is for sure starts to die. And it's something that we are going to have to give din and cheshbon. We're going to have to give a judgment for everything that we do in this world. And we have to be good people because Gan Eden and Gehenna is in front of us. And we don't have forever. Whether it feels like 15 minutes or 30 minutes or 70 years or 700 years, it wouldn't make a difference. And really, if we use this intelligence, and intelligence tells us that it's going to happen. You have step 1 and step 2. Step 1 is we're here, we're alive. Step 2 is we have to show for what we did in this world. If we understand that these are the stages, even though we still have a feeling of time, we understand that it's going to happen, and we can bring it closer to us by understanding that time really is not as significant as it feels to us, and really time does not exist, and therefore we can feel that what may come in another 40 years or 50 years or however much time we have left, or maybe 100 years, that it really is as if it's happening, as if it should be happening right now, or as if it could be happening right now, or as if it is happening right now. Now, this is why it says that a person should do tshuva one day before he dies, and who knows when he's going to die? We don't know. The person has to do tshuva every single moment, because, again, when we really do reach this high level of intelligence, we'll understand that we died the same day that we were born, that it was all the same day. Ani hayom yiladaticha, I today gave birth to you. What Hashem says to Mashiach, that when we all reach that level, when we really get to the high level of intelligence, that we all feel like we were born today and we even died today and everything happened in one moment, that we'll feel really bad that we didn't spend one day serving Hashem or 15 minutes serving Hashem. So it's kedai for us to think about it, to try to think about, how it's something that life and death is something that's going to happen. It's not death, but the judgment that we're going to have to give. There is olam haba. This whole world is just a corridor. It's just a prosdor, a way to get a passageway to come into mitzvahs, to come to olam haba, and we have to see olam haba in front of us. Again, not to be dreary or thinking about death. Death is not the operative concept here. The idea is that we have a place for Hayom today to work and tomorrow to receive the reward. So we think about the reward. We think about what we're striving to. We're striving to a more ruchnistic existence. Complete ruchnius is really going to happen when Mashiach comes and Tchis HaMesim in the future. So we're looking towards that. That's going to happen with our mitzvahs. So if we try to again attach the time that we're experiencing now to the infinite amounts of time, which Rav Nosson discusses this concept a lot, attaching the time that we're experiencing and trying to relate and uplift it to the concept that we believe, even though we don't really understand, we believe there's this concept of cancellation of time and being above time. This is the avoda of this Torah. This is the avoda of recognizing that time is insignificant. It really is. Even though I don't feel it right now, it's okay. I don't feel it right now, I believe it. And since I believe it, I'm going to act as if it is, as if the whole 70 years is really 15 minutes or less. we should be zochet to believe in this and to understand it as best as we can, and to live it.